This is a Little People Big World cast. Where are they now? Update for November 2024. And it's been a while. We have a lot of news to get through. Let's catch up with Jeremy, Zach, Amy, Matt, and Jacob Roloff and their families, and what we know about the cancellation of Little People Big World. So Little People Big World has been airing on TLC since 2006. This is a legacy show for that network. The show has followed the ups and downs of the Roloff family and their experience living, in a family where some family members have dwarfism and some do not, and they live on a big farm in Oregon. Amy and Matt first purchased the farm when Amy was preparing to have their twin boys, Jeremy and Zach Roloff. The twins were born in 1990, and in 1993 they had Molly, and in 1997 they had Jacob. We watched them grow up on our screens and have a pretty idyllic childhood, and we all hoped for the best for the future. But a big family rift ensued in the later seasons between Matt and his older boys, Jeremy and Zach, because they both wanted part of the farm. So they put their hat in the ring and thought it was kind of promised to them their whole life. In the end, Matt did not accept any of their offers. And in a big twist, somehow, Jacob, the youngest son, now lives on the farm with his family. Molly lives in Spokane, and Jeremy bought his own property nearby, and Zach and Tori moved to Battleground, Washington, to a whole nother state. The last season to aired last spring, and no one seemed to know if the show was going to continue. Back in May, when the series or the season wrapped up, Matt, who is, he's 62, he's at retirement age, told Entertainment Tonight that he has yet to receive a call from the network about the fate of the show after the season finale on April 25th. But I mean, it did feel like a series finale. He said he was still open to filming, but also felt the show had ended on a good note. There was this kind of effort to not say the show was done. But now a source has told the US Sun that the show is canceled and the network has no plans to film with them in the future. According to the source and the article in the US Sun, the insider said, Little People Big World is done. They were going to end the show before doing the weddings. It's been a long time coming. It doesn't really have anything to do with the cast members, but many had been ready for it to be over and aren't too sad it's come to an end. Matt has this workaholic, don't stop attitude and couldn't stop himself from doing more seasons, but Karen is mostly happy now that it's done. Yeah, probably, because she was kind of getting the villain edit a little bit. That being said, it's still super interesting to see what the Roloff family is up to now without the show. They're very much still active online and on social media, and podcasts and all these things have become super important to their lives now, especially without that Little People Big World money. They're influencers now. That being said, let's get into the update. And we're going to start with Jeremy and Audrey Roloff, who now have 4 kids, Ember, Bodhi, Radley, and Mirabella. Fans just love to throw shade at Jeremy and Audrey for some of their views. Jeremy's just super reflective Instagram posts, etc., etc. But moral of the story, Jeremy and Audrey have this beautiful big property near the farm that they've just recently renovated. And one thing that has fans rolling their eyes right now is Jeremy building a climbing wall in his house for his kids. Fans just think it's like an accident or a liability waiting to happen. But the plans seem to be moving forward, and Jeremy can't help himself but post like every little detail about it. A few things that fans don't agree with in terms of Audrey and Jeremy is their staunch support for drinking raw milk, yes, raw milk, not wearing deodorant, homeschooling, and more. Jeremy's always been like pretty philosophical So I don't know why anyone's shocked with all this. I feel like Jeremy's always been like that and had like different views, and that's fine. That being said, I mean, in a recent podcast clip, he's going on about a brain gonad. Yes, people, a brain gonad. And hey, at least he's interesting. I kind of find him entertaining, actually. It's better to be thinking and introspective than to not be. In a recent podcast episode, Jeremy told a story. He said he never told anyone that someone tried to kill him in Santa Barbara. You'll remember that he went to Santa Barbara to photography school after high school, and he lived there for a little while. So in the story, he goes that he was texting Audrey on the phone or something, walking down the street, and he kind of knew someone was coming towards him. No one else was on the road, and he just got tackled to the ground by this person. He dropped his phone, and all he saw was a knife. And then he starts yelling, and they're wrestling on the ground. And all I can remember is that he got his right leg up and kicked the person hard and threw him back. And then, eventually he went to get back to his phone and called 911. Apparently, his roommate told him that it could have been gang activity in Santa Barbara. Wow, I thought he had such an easy time in Santa Barbara doing photography or whatever. Like, I guess, that's crazy. And Audrey told the story that she got Jeremy a motorcycle early in the marriage, and close to the farm, they actually got into an accident, and Audrey flew off the bike and dislocated her shoulder. Anyways, Jeremy and Audrey are, doing their podcast thing. That's obviously a form of income for them. And they're getting ready for Christmas. They always get this huge tree for their house because they have this really, really big main area. And they're just kind of living like a little family life close to the farm, almost like their own farm, kind of. That being said, Jeremy is still sometimes bringing up the farm deal gone bad once in a while on the podcast. And so, do I think he'll ever be over that? No, I do not. Let's go to Amy Roloff. So Amy just released a new cookbook, guys. It's called Eat, Love, Gather Volume 2. And it includes a chicken pumpkin curry recipe, which looks really delicious. Amy and Chris have been traveling a little bit. They went on a hot air balloon trip for Chris's birthday. Amy's been going to Michigan to see her family a lot. And she also went to Zion National Park recently. Tori and Zach on their podcast, Raising Heights, have been talking about so much. And one thing I thought was interesting is that Tori had said that, at first she was really offended when some family members didn't show up to family events. Not sure like who she was referring to necessarily, but she's learned to let that go more, and that they don't have a grudge, they just have boundaries, and that the Roloffs are pretty competitive as a family in general. They also said that Lila will probably also need leg surgery like Jackson, and so they're probably looking at more surgeries and things like that, which sucks. Tori and Zach also addressed, bad comments about them. They got a lot of bad comments, and they get so much judgment too. But Tori says that it feels super isolating to be upset about online comments because her friends are like teachers and nurses, and so it just feels like such a privileged thing to say that, oh no, someone's saying something mean to me online, which I understand that actually. And so they actually did a podcast where they read mean things that fans said. One said Zach has no ambition and no job. One said Tori's in it for the money. And Zach says that one blog actually called Tori Snow White because she cooks and cleans and is around all dwarves all the time. And that's actually funny. The comments were actually brutal that they were reading out. They were just reading out anything. Like one said something about Zach's tooth. I don't know. Tori and Zach also had a fire incident recently. Like they've been having multiple home issues. Like they had a wasp nest or whatever, a hornet nest They also had a fire, which was addressed. Tori said, okay, for those asking about the fire yesterday, that happened in our toaster oven. I burnt some cinnamon rolls. That's all it was. I think when I opened up the door of the toaster, I let oxygen in and it just took off. Between that, and they also had like a leak in their house from a burst pipe that caused like a lot of damage. They had to replace so much flooring. I mean, they're having house drama in Washington for sure. And as for Matt and Karen, they are still engaged as far as I know, and they've escaped Oregon after pumpkin season and have been off to the Caribbean probably. It looks like Karen is not really like on social media anymore. I mean, I don't blame her. She's kind of been blamed a bit for some of the family conflict. She must just not want anything to do with it. But I assume Karen and Matt are living in bliss on the farm, engaged and traveling. I wonder if their wedding will get a TV special. I mean, we need something, right? Let me know what you think of the cancellation, and if you think that would you watch a wedding special with Karen and Matt? You know, like, would you? Let me know in the comments, and I'll be back with more updates. Bye, guys.